Let me just start the recording. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Very happy that even on a restricted holiday day, I know you all have a festival time, but in spite of that, thanks that these many people have joined, and we are expecting that other participants also will be joining. And we are in the fifth day of our AACT sponsored Atal FTP on imparting soft skills and life skills for holistic development. And so today morning, first ever, we are going to have first session by Dr. Vandana Madhav Kumar on communication styles and assertiveness. But before starting the session, I just like to share with you a glad news also, because our institute, PSGR Krishnamal College for Women, yesterday it has been ranked sixth in NIRF, National Institute Ranking Framework, among the college category. Okay. So at last year ranking, we were at the 10th position, and this year we are at the 6th position. So we are happy to share that news with all these participants. Thank you, ma'am. So today's session, since we all know our coordinator Vandana Madhav Kumar, she's going to handle the session on communication styles and assertiveness. So since you all know, I am not going to formally introduce her again. Straight away, we will jump into the session. Over to you, Dr. Vandana. Please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kavita.
Happy learning to all the participants.
Yeah. Thank you. And happy Ganesh Chaturthi to all those who are celebrating, and season's greetings to all who are not celebrating. Welcome to the fifth day. Today is the last day, and you understand why I have two sessions today. Being a restricted holiday, the other resource persons, they preferred the other days. So I was left with the last day to handle two sessions, but that's okay. That's okay.
Leadership is always a lot heavier, ma'am. So well done.
No, I'm the coordinator, so I have no other way also. Thank you for your time.
Again, thank you so much. Looking forward.
Okay, so today's this is also part of communication, which is on assertiveness. I would like to share with you, and to your students also, you must again, I will say that inculcate these this communication skill, because it's a very important, and particularly students, they are young, vulnerable, and they have so many doubts, and there is information overload now, and there are so many forces that try to sway their thinking. So to help them take their own stand, this particular skill is very, very important. So at the outset, though we have around 36 participants, but we can definitely go for some kind of activity or a small discussion, right? So can you see the screen, everyone? Am I audible? Everything is fine with the connectivity and...
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Thank you so much. This is a small discussion. I thought we'll initiate a discussion. Tell me, what will you do in a situation where your friend is going through a tough time, struggling with a personal issue, and discuss this with you? This is taking time, and you have some urgent work to be completed. What will you do in this situation? You can unmute and speak. Okay, listen to her. You have some urgent work to be completed also. Some more answers. I'm sure you're there. I will prefer to listen to her.
Very very soft voice.
If urgent work, if possible, to delegate to someone, help her, allow someone to complete. Yes, someone was saying something. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Will request her that I will listen to you after my work is completed.
Okay, you will request her that I will listen to you after my work is completed. Okay. First, I know her problem. Later, I go with the urgent work. Okay. First, you will listen. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Kamal Pant, Mr. Kamal Pant, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. In this particular case, what we can do, because the problem is a very urgent one, and like we should try to listen to her, and in the meantime, we can give us some kind of initial relief that this problem of yours can be tackled very soon. And as I am busy, so the first thing is the first aid should be given. The first aid is to reconcile her. Uh, that should be your first motive, and taking your time, and finally you have to manage your it's a time management from your urgency and importancy. You can delegate accordingly, and later on you can come back to her problem or his problem, and you can address to it. The first thing is the first cure should be there. Like you should say that you are with her or him, and you can take care of his or her problem, and the problem is not big enough. And you can go to your own examples of your own life that you have gone through similar kind of problems, or you have seen somebody going through the same, and a kind of psychological management, I'd say.
Okay, okay, good. Yes, there is no right answer. At the outset, let me let you know that there is no right answer. Just want to pick your thoughts on this. And as you said, okay, the problem is urgent or not, it's not mentioned over here, but the work is urgent. I want you to focus on that. Okay, thank you for that answer. And your superior criticizes you unjustly in private. So what will you do? Everyone, superiors.
We will know the reason why they are criticizing us.
Okay.
And what could be the reason for these things? We will just go back and take the feedback of our experiences with them, or any kind of thing like that.
Okay. Okay. So at that moment, what will you do?
At that moment, we will see the situation where can we talk to them there itself or in private. That situation we'll analyze.
Okay.
Because immediately losing our emotion is also not good in such cases.
Okay. So I can see the emotional intelligence class has helped you.
Yeah, has helped you, man. Helped us.
Good.
Emotional
Good to know
intelligence class. And even yesterday with
time
that
management.
exercise, I got very good marks in that. 10, 5,
Okay.
I could match with the things what madam has given those scoring. Exactly those marks matched with me.
Oh, excellent.
10, 5,
Good.
whatever she was assigning.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Great.
Emotional balance, I could overcome that.
Okay. So we'll explain the situation, Dr. Uma Maheshwari says. Thank you. Thank you all for your responses.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyone else?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Try to understand his intentions.
But at that moment, you know, at that moment, what will you do? Immediately, is it possible to understand his intention, or, you know, sometimes the person is in such anger that will he or she listen to your explanation?
May I, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, I have faced such kind of a situation in the past couple of days, before a few weeks, where my superior called me and show some criticism on my work. So at that time, I feel first, yes, something is wrong, but I appreciate his approach, because that he called me in private and criticized me, and then I try to understand his point of view, why he is criticizing me. So I listened him carefully. I have not done any argument against at that particular time. I just note it down. I go back. I realize whatever problems are there. Then I'll come back to that person after a couple of days later, and then we'll discuss. And he realizes mistake, that was completely wrong. He criticized me, so he apologized as well. So that is the thing that I followed actually.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. Good. That is in fact the right way also, isn't it? We'll come to that. Great. During office hours, two of your staff or colleagues spend excessive amount of chatting about their private lives. If this is the situation, then think of the situation. I have it in chat box. Kritika says, my defense mechanism is so high, probably list out some reasons. I'm trying to change that attitude. Okay. So sometimes you become defensive when somebody criticizes you and you start your response. The response is framed in defensive. Am I right, Kritika? Do you mean that? Yes. Yes, we'll come to that. Okay, during office hours, if you find two of your colleagues spending excessive amount of time chatting about their private lives, what will you do? Come on. Will you say something? Will you be quiet? Will you ignore?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm from NGP IT. I'm Sri Ranjani, ma'am. And
Yes.
I think it is not that much needed. But if it is about our personal private life, if it is on the base of criticism, and and also if it is going in a positive way, we could accept some advices or support or guidance from them. If
No,
they
no,
are
if
much
they are
experienced,
chatting about their own lives, they are
their own
talking
lives,
about
it is,
home.
I think it is not much needed in workplace actually.
So what will you do if you find always they're sitting together, spending time chatting?
Yeah, we could tell them once or twice that it is not much needed here, or else might be if they are caught with other superiors, they might think, or they might do it in an indirect way, that we should have such sort of comments during our work time.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Well taken. Well taken. Okay. So Shamugapriya says,
Thank
I
you,
tell them
ma'am.
to
Thank
come.
you.
Shamugapriya says, I'll tell them to complete the work assigned to them. Okay. Dr. Abha says, I'm leading team. Then I will listen because her personal life issue may impact their performance and ultimate. But then, you know, when you are listening, it may be eavesdropping. No, you are listening at something which you're not supposed to listen, because two of them are sitting together and chatting about their own lives. Isn't it, Dr. Abha?
Yes, ma'am. So there is no interference from my side if until unless that issue is not come to me.
You all chat, you don't come to me. Okay.
Yeah. So if they are not come up with that problem regarding any of the personal life, they're chatting and they're not disturbing any other person and they're not hampering the team performance, then let them do. Maybe they feel some productivity by discussing those issues. They feel that their stress is relieving while discussing their issues.
But I think that it is hampering teamwork, because every time they are not indulging in work or you know, being productive in the organization, rather than you know, chatting about their personal lives. Then
we need to prepare some protocols or SOPs that how to behave in the organization and what kind of work we can do.
okay. Okay, well taken, point well taken.
I think there is no proper delegation of the work. That's why they are free to chat.
Okay, they don't have enough work. Okay.
So the
Okay.
proper delegation of the work should be done, and they should be asked what they have done so far, and their proper assessment. Out of both of these two fellow, one should be called upon and should be asked for what she or he has performed so far.
Okay.
And also there are disciplinary mechanisms, ma'am. Some things are not actually admissible, and there are do's and don'ts for each and every organization. And we should reinforce those things. Like, these are not meant to be done.
Okay. Yeah.
As
so
it
you,
is already
so
said that
will you
it is,
approach them and tell them that you are not supposed to, you know, spend time chatting about your personal life, rather than you focus on your work?
Definitely, ma'am. But in a very respectable way, because maybe their concerns are something like they want to chat that moment only, and they have something to chat upon, some urgency or some urgent matter. But definitely, like, intervening in between, and intervening is fine because it is office hours. You have to be strict with your own discipline, and that discipline should be maintained.
Okay, good. If you're able to say, then good. Okay, then the other scenario, the final one. There is a fire accident and you want everyone to leave the place immediately. Will you be looking at the SOPs? Will you be arguing? What will you do? Will you be softly telling everyone, please?
Ma'am, there has in every organization there is a fire safety mechanism, and that should be known to each and every person.
No, nobody
employee
knows
of.
actually. Suppose in that you
Okay.
have people from outside, children, everyone, and some of them are, stopping to take their things, and some of them are trying to find others. But there is an
not an
urgent.
office.
It is an urgency,
Okay.
and then what do you do? Will you try to discuss with them which is the best solution? What will you do?
It's a better idea that coolly people should be told about from where they can have an exit, but all possibilities are there. Everybody should listen to that person who is if I'm there, so I'll be telling them like, listen to me and follow my instructions. This is how you will be, you can have a safe exit from this place. And there should not be any panic, and there are multiple ways of getting out, and we are trying our level best to have a safe exit from that place. So our team is with you.
But of
that
course, you
kind
will
of
raise your voice, right? You will raise your voice. There will be a sense of urgency. You may not like to sit down, have a chat, or argue with people. So, yes, well taken, good. Shamugapriya says that I'll call fire department and inform everyone to leave. Good. Well taken. All your points are there, and there are so many multiple things. I'll come to what I want to say. Before that, a small story. Okay, this is a real story which happened a decade ago, and it was mentioned by one of the authors in the book. So this is, one morning, the police found body of a female, a young girl, 21 years old, 22-year-old girl, in a sewage canal. Okay. And I will not mention the place and all those things. They found the body of a young girl in a sewage canal. And then, of course, and when the cause, and she was a student, she was an MBA student, first year student. And when the cause was found out, it was drowning, death because of drowning as a result of water entering the lungs. So she drowned in the canal. Now the police and everybody were thinking it can be suicide. Again, in the last session, I told you clues. So they were trying to figure out, okay, maybe it is a suicide or is it a murder? And then when they contacted the parents, because the identity of the girl was ascertained, and then they contacted the parents, and the parents said there was no reason for the child to commit suicide. And it is very, very difficult for everyone to think that somebody would go into such a narrow canal and for such a healthy girl to go and commit suicide there, right? So it would be murder, but for who would murder such a girl? And there was no sign of assault on the body of the girl, no sign of assault. And it came to be known that she was engaged to a boy. And this boy belonged to a very influential person, was the son of a very influential person who was a builder and a politician in that area. And he was an engineering student. So he is the one who first alerted the parents that this girl is not picking up the phone. And now within 5 days, the police were trying to, within 5 days, the police came to the conclusion who murdered, because suicide was ruled out. Even the boy's father thought maybe some political opponents would have murdered the girl. But when the police were doing their investigation, they found out that nothing of that sort has happened. And within 5 days, they found that this fiance of the girl had murdered the girl along with his friend. Now, when they went back to see the reason they saw was that this boy had been engaged and there were no issues with both of them. But then he befriended his ex-girlfriend, who somehow they had parted, and she had went to some other country, some Middle East, and she came back. And then he has befriended her, and then now he did not want this fiance. He wanted to marry his former girlfriend. And then their relationship grew. She came back to India, and she was here. And this boy did not know how to break the engagement. And so he, with his friend, they devised a plan. What they told the girl was, you tell your brother that you are in the library and you'll get late. We are going to give you a surprise. And this poor girl informed her brother that I'll be spending more time in the library. I'll be coming late. She informed that. right? And these boys picked her up and then went to a mall and gave her some drink with sedatives and smoothed her with a cushion. Okay, and then they went and saw the movie, and then he made some calls to her phone and dumped her body and the phone in the sewage canal. Okay, and then the police came to know all these things. And then see, this is a very tragic incident. Why this fellow murdered? Because if you see the root cause, there was lying. It is, deception and lie was at the center, because he did not have the courage to express his feelings. He was afraid of the consequences. If he said that I don't want to marry this girl, his father would have been upset. And his father was a wealthy person. Maybe he was beneficiary of his financial assets, like he was driving a luxurious car, he had his own flat, and he used to spend money on his friends. So maybe his father was a very influential person. He did not want to, he was afraid of the consequences, unpleasant consequences he would have had to face. Similarly, his friend, he had nothing to do with this girl. Why he also helped? Because maybe he was the beneficiary of his friend's money and all. He did not want to upset his friend, and then he went along with the plan, right? So do you see this? Sometimes, you lie just to avoid some unpleasant situation. But you may think that this is a very echo sound. Is echo coming? Am I audible, or is echo coming? Somebody has messaged in the chat that
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
you are audible.
Yeah, ma'am, it's audible.
absolutely fine.
Fine.
okay.
Now echo started, I think.
Is it?
It's fine, ma'am. It's fine. It's okay, ma'am. It's okay.
You can
It's
mute
fine.
your, yeah, you all of you can mute your microphone. Anyway, so this story, the heart of the story is, everybody in that situation, maybe they did not have the courage to express their feelings. We don't know the real story, whether the girl was okay or she was trying to please her father, and she entered in, she said okay to be engaged to this boy, or this boy also was a little scared of his father, and so he said. So if you, in our workplace or professional life, it is not that things will go to this extreme. But when we think about many of the situations, where are we honest? Because do we express our ideas and feelings as it is? When I say as it is, do we give enough clues for the other person to understand us better, or do we hide certain things and expect them to understand? You have to think about it. You may not directly answer, but if you have any clarifications, you can ask. You follow what I said? And even the friend, in fact, this boy did not have the courage to break the engagement. He asked his friend to find out if he breaks the engagement, what will happen. And the friend had gone and asked that girl, earlier, if something happens and the engagement is broken, how will it, how will it be okay with you? And she said that 2 years ago, she was in an engagement and she had a problem, and then that engagement was did not happen, and that relationship was that it was a broken relationship. So she said that had happened, and she did not have the heart. Once again, she did not have that mental mental capacity to undergo again this kind of a situation. She told his friend, and this friend came and told this boy. So they thought the best thing is to eliminate this girl, right? And this girl's father used to work with this boy's father. He was a chief engineer working in his construction company. So you see how it is all related. Okay. Any observations on the story? Yeah, I'm waiting. Any observations from you? Any comments? Can you hear me? Yeah.
This is the story which reveals us that a lot of emotional balance is required to overcome the situation. and suicidal tendencies are to be reduced among the youth particularly, and tackle the situation.
But then the girl did not commit suicide, no? She was murdered.
Murdered. Is it proved that she is murdered?
Yes, yes. Police found out, no? The boy and his friend had murdered. I told you, like, they took her to the parking space of a mall, and then they smothered her and then dumped her body in the sewage canal. Maybe she would have not been completely dead, so the water entered the lungs. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you all is, most of the time we do not give enough clues. We don't express our ideas, our feelings and thoughts. We don't give clues to the other.
I see the perspective of the communication gap. As you rightly said, we are not able to express ourselves according to the given context. So that might have led to this kind of tragedies.
Yes. So it's these kinds of tragedy, in our workplace and personal life, these kinds of extreme situations may not happen, but we can draw conclusions and we can draw similarities in our own life, in the sense that when we are speaking, sometimes we don't give enough clues. We don't express our feelings openly. We don't express our thoughts and ideas. So the other person is not able to interpret what is there in our mind, our feelings, our thoughts, and their response to us will be different, which we do not want that kind of a response. So in order to get a response that accommodates our needs, we need to give all the clues. That is, we need to express our feelings, our thoughts explicitly, right? Though it may hurt the other person, or sometimes it may not be very pleasant, but what will happen, but it will be temporary, right? For example, when you lie to clients, or you hide certain facts from your customers or your superiors, if you are not truthful, I will complete the project within 2 days, but you are not able to. What happens is that you will have peace, but it will be deceptive peace. In the long run, when you're not able to honor your word, your commitment, when the customers find out the truth about the organization, then the damage will be much, much more. But you come out honest and you reveal, I think, it will be temporary. People will be upset, or people may not like it, but in the long run, it will build your credibility. And in the long run, you will find that the image of the organization goes up, and respect for you also will increase, or you will be respected. So when you see these colors, yellow, red, and blue, yellow, what is the characteristics that you associate with yellow? In terms of
Yellow
strength,
friendliness.
in terms of strength, when you say it's a strong, it's mild, in terms of that. Yellow conveys what? Is it a very strong, or it's a very bold color?
It's a soft color.
It's a soft color. It's a mild color. And red is a bold color. And blue is somewhat neutral, right? Okay. So we can associate our communication styles also with these colors, right? And there are three fundamental styles. The other two are, I have put it, which are also related to that. So if you see, there are three fundamental styles, which are passive, assertive, and aggressive. And manipulative, passively aggressive are part of that, are related to that. But fundamentally, there are three, that is passive, assertive, and aggressive. Most of you might have heard about these terms, okay, and these words. Passive is something, as I said, the color yellow depicts something mild. So passive is associated with, very, very weak. Passive communication is something which is very weak, like the yellow color. I'm not associating. Yellow color is a beautiful color. Keeping that apart, when you associate with the communication style, right? And assertiveness is something which is neutral, and aggressive is something, which is when people don't respect others' rights, and then they try to they don't care about others. They want their opinion, their feelings to be dominant. They dominate others. They get their way. We'll come to these. Okay. For example, passive is a communication style where you put the rights of others. You're so overwhelmed by other people, their power. You're so scared of the consequences that you sacrifice your own thoughts, ideas, and you allow others to have their way with you. Like you have the cow also, very docile. Whatever you say, you just it's very obedient and it goes. Right? That is one style where you don't express your whatever your feelings, your thoughts. You don't express it openly. You hide your thoughts and feelings. You go with the others. You're so overwhelmed with the power of others that you are quiet. And sometimes you are scared. If I say no to my manager for suppose your superior has offered you to do a project along with him, you may think, if I refuse to do, you don't see any benefit in doing a project. So you may think, I don't want to do a project with him, but I want to do with someone else. How do I tell? And you don't tell. That is passive, right? If you want to refuse your superior of working late or something else, some help that he has asked, that is again passive. You're so overwhelmed with the other person that you don't express your rights. You don't put forth your rights. And assertive is a communication style in which you stand up for your rights while maintaining the respect for the rights of others. So you respect your rights and you respect others' rights. It's not that you are, it's not win-lose situation. It's win-win situation. You have empathy and sympathy for the other person, but at the same time, you respect your rights also. You don't allow others to trample on your rights and then move ahead, right? You stand up for your rights. And aggressive is a communication style where, but you stand up for your rights, but you violate the rights of others. You trample others, ideas, and then you are standing on others' toes, and you don't care about others' feelings. Very dominant kind of people. Okay. So these are the three kinds. And then I would like to explain manipulative. Manipulative is a kind of a style in which, you don't mean. It is kind of cheating. You will in a very sweet and convincing way, you ask the other person to do something, but you have hidden agenda, right? That is not the right thing for the other person to do. You say that, okay, in here, if you have to get promoted, you have to stay longer. You say in a very sweet voice, and you're using your force also and saying that because you are the boss. So you may say, if you have to rise in this organization, you will have to put in more efforts, put in more hours in the work. So that is manipulating. You are using your position to make someone work extra hours, right? And if you want increment, if you want bonus, this has to be done. So this is manipulative, using your force, your power, or maybe sweet talk and making others, people who are naive and a little, they don't know many things. They don't have information, twisting the information, hiding some information and getting things done. That is another style. And then passively aggressive. Passively aggressive is you don't openly reveal your true feelings, but you pretend. For example, if the superior is saying something in front of him, you may say, yes, that's a brilliant idea. But behind his back to your colleagues, we may sometimes say that what a lousy idea. He has no idea about planning. She does not do. So you are not able to say it in his or her face. So in his or face doesn't mean that you have to say you are a lousy planner, but you are not able to point out the flaws in the plan that your superior has given, or the idea that the superior has given. But at the same time, behind his back, you go and say that this is not a good idea. Or in front of a person, you say, yes, I will do. But inside, you will not do, and you will not do. So passively aggressive. You may seem to be very passive, very mild, allowing the other person to get his or her way, but inside you are aggressive. You will rebel. You will not do what you will protest in different ways, or you make snide remarks, okay, double meaning words, or you spread rumors. That is passively aggressive. So we'll focus mainly on these three, right? So this is very important. There is a questionnaire also, which the questionnaire I'm not giving. Usually in workshops, we give a questionnaire to find out how assertive a person is. Maybe in the materials I'll give you. So when you're passive, you're emotionally actually dishonest, right? Passiveness is not good, because in the long run, what happens is all those bottled up feelings, that resentment is there in you. And one fine day it may burst, or it may cause stress because you're not able to express your feelings. Others misunderstand you. And whatever you're expecting, people are not responding the way you expect things to be. That is because you are hiding your feelings. You're not telling others, you're not disclosing to others what is expected, right? So others' rights and needs take precedence over mine. That is the mindset. Okay, they blame, apologetic, not very happy, a little scared of things. So these are the style of passiveness. And passive aggressive, I told you, emotionally dishonest, indirect, self-denying at first, self-enhancing at the expense of the others later. You know, at the expense of others, you may go talk behind their back. That is what it means. So I subtly make clear that my rights and needs prevail. Directly, you may not say, but indirectly through your actions, you make it clear. And aggressive is, again, I boldly insist that my rights and needs will prevail, which we discussed. The same thing. Assertive is I clearly express that we both have needs and rights. So you respect the right of the others, but also respect your own rights. Okay, so I'll pause for a few seconds if you have any comments to make or any clarifications.
Ma'am, these characters might vary according to the situation. I mean, it is not consistent character. Na?
Yes, it is not consistent. You cannot have it. That I'll come to later. Yes. Have you mentioned that in the chat? No.
No, ma'am.
So what you mean to say is it's not consistent that every time it keeps changing.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it does. We'll come to that.
According to the situation and according to the people concerned.
Excellent. Yes, you're right. We'll come to Roxana.
Okay.
So some of the general characteristics of a passive person: compliant, submissive, talks little, vague, ambiguous, and non-committal. Non-committal, they don't commit to anything, put self down, praises others. I don't mind, that's fine, yes, all right. These are the kinds of words they may use mostly. Assertive actions and expression fit with words. They do what they say, firm but polite and clear messages, respectful of self and others. So for them, they will be, that's a good idea. And how about if we did this too? Or I can see that, but I'd really like to. So you're, you also give importance to yourself as well as to others. And aggressive is, of course, sarcastic, harsh, always right, superior. They know everything. They will make decisions based on their knowledge. They don't consider anyone else's knowledge as important. They believe that they have all the knowledge to make the decisions, right? They may put down people, they may humiliate people, they are critical, they may cut others short when they are speaking, they're patronizing, that means their own ideas they will promote, and they are disrespectful of others. They don't care what others think, right? So that kind of a style. So this is what we are doing. If you don't like it, tough. So as Roxana said, it is not that we adopt these, we have a fixed style. Our style keeps changing. And that depends on the relationship that we have with the person whom we are interacting, right? The strength and the weakness of the relationship. Okay, how strong is our relationship with the other person? What are the things that we lose if we communicate in a particular style? So all these things are at stake when you're communicating. I'll come to that. So passive is you are okay, I'm not. Assertive is I'm okay, and you are okay. Aggressive is I'm okay, you are not. Okay. There is another one which I would like to add to assertive. In assertive, they also say that I'm not okay, you're not okay, and that is okay. Okay. So again, I don't matter. Again, this is the repetition. So the need, why should you be assertive? Why should you be assertive? May I ask that question to you all? Yes. Why should we be assertive? Are you all there? Can I hear some responses from you all?
Yes, we are listening. Yes, ma'am, we are here.
Yes, ma'am. May I, ma'am?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. It will be the nice no environment in the department, and obviously in the college, and will help in the progress, or I mean, no, the towards positivity. What I think, ma'am.
Positivity. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Good. Ananya says lead a balanced life. Kritika feels like common ground, mutual coexistence. Okay, positivity. Okay.
Ma'am, as you said, these communication styles may differ from person to person, situation, again on personal relationship, but assertiveness is, I think, a more positive one. A balanced positive is what I can relate to it from how you've explained this so far.
Yes, yes. I'll come to that. It depends from person to person, and it also depends on what kind of relationship we have with the person with whom we are interacting. Okay. So before that, let us see why we need to be assertive. To be able to handle conflict. When we are in a conflict situation, we should ensure that our rights are not compromised and we don't end up getting exploited. To be more assertive with my superior. You cannot have people take you for granted, right? Then to be able to express myself better. Many a times, when you have not spoken what you feel, or you think that people have taken you for granted, at the end of the day, you don't feel good. So that is the thing that you need to watch out for. If at the end of the day, in that interaction, you are not happy, you feel that you have been taken advantage of, you feel that this is not fair, then you need to speak. But if you willingly compromise, that is something different. That also people do. They understand that people are but in the long run, maybe they are seeing some benefit and then they compromise. We'll come to that. So to be able to express myself better, I can see a few chat also. We need to be assertive, otherwise we will be taken for granted. Yes, especially at the workplace. Okay, to safeguard oneself. Right, you're right. All of you are right. To become less aggressive. When you have these pent up feelings inside you, it will burst and then you become more aggressive in the long run. And one day you find that you keep shouting, and you must have seen that when you're not happy and then somebody says something, you become aggressive. And that sometimes aggression is shown to people who are, particularly our kids, or who are at a lower level than us, whom we have more power over. You will find that we show our aggressiveness to them more often. Sometimes it can be an outburst to the superior also, to a colleague also, unnecessary outburst. Okay, to stop feeling, because you have pent up, you have kept up all those feelings, and it has, one day it has come out. And to stop feeling guilty for standing up for yourself. Sometimes you would, particularly with the working women also, when you spend time for yourself, you kind of feel guilty. You need not feel guilty, because everyone should realize that you also have um, and rights over your own time. Sometimes, with the working mothers and all, they feel guilty that they're not able to spend time with their children. So and when you're assertive and you say that I have some work to be done, please don't disturb me, or you are not able to cook for, you get a takeout, you feel guilty. That guilt should not be there, because you are standing up for your own rights. You have some needs, you want to spend time alone, so you need not feel guilty. So in various other things also, when with a friend, like the first example, what I gave you, when a friend has made some demands and you say that I have an urgent work, can we wait till the afternoon lunch break, is it okay? If you say, but you sometimes feel guilty, that guilt should not be there. So when you're assertive, that guilt will not be there, because because you have understood that you are respecting others' rights as well as your right. Because at urgent work, if you don't complete, you will be in trouble. The friend has come with some personal problem that doesn't seem to be urgent. So you may request, but that guilt feeling should not come. When you understand assertiveness, that guilt will not be there. And to control my temper and stop overreacting. Sometimes, we overreact. As I told you, these are also related to the pent up feelings. They say this is the straw that broke the camel's back. You keep on carrying, and ultimately you keep one straw, and then the camel breaks down. In that way, you keep on piling up, and you overreact, and then you get emotional, and maybe the reason may be something else, right? So to do that, and to be able to deal with work situations better, and so that I can stop people pushing me around. So these are some of the reasons why we need to be assertive, and why we need also to make our students know assertiveness, and that will help us realize our full potential. Okay, now what Ruxana was saying, and what some of you were mentioning, this self-disclosure. In order to be assertive, it requires tactful self-disclosure. The word is tactful self-disclosure. That means that I am expressing myself, and I'm expressing my feelings. I let my feelings and ideas and thoughts known to others, but it has to be tactful. As I told you, it depends on the relationship that you have with the person whom you are interacting. A person who is a very tough boss, at a very, very aggressive kind of a communication style at the office, may be very, very meek and passive at home in front of his wife, or the other way around also. Okay. And a jailer who's a very strict person and keeps commanding everyone, and very aggressive kind of a communication style. But in front of his boss, he may be very, very passive. Whatever he says, he's listening. He allows him to, to take advantage of him. So the relationship that we have with the others, that determines, right? So that we don't have a fixed style. So in different relationship, we adopt different style. But at the end of the day, what we should do is we should, see to it that our behavior and all are in alignment with our values, our principles in life, so that there is not too much to hide. We are what we are. So that becomes easy for life. You don't have to wear a mask every time. Okay. Having said that, there are certain situations where if nobody asks you, also you express your feelings, and that is not necessary. You need not be an open book. And somebody doesn't ask you a judgment, then also you pass your judgment. That is not necessary. If in a situation you are required to provide information, though you have a judgment, you refrain from it. You do it as the situation demands, right? But in certain situations where your judgment is required, you have to decide whether somebody gets an increment, or somebody is promoted, somebody is hired, or somebody has to be given marks, or some disciplinary issue. That time you have to pass judgments. You base it on objective, the objective proof that you have, or the information that you have. So what I'm saying is, it's not that a person who expresses his feelings and all has to wear his or her heart on the sleeve. That is, like an open book. It depends on the situation. That is why it is called tactful self-disclosure. So assertive communication can also be called tactful self-disclosure. Crippled display of emotions is passiveness, where you don't display your emotions and you allow others to figure out. Like, for example, you want to go for a party, but just you want to show, somehow you tell your friends, I have a headache, and you want them to insist that, come, we will go and celebrate. But your expectations may not be met. They may think, oh, you really have a headache, ask you to take some Disprin and then rest, okay, or painkiller and rest. So you need to, sometimes that happens in relationship. You expect that your spouse will wish and give you a gift on your birthday or wedding anniversary, and you don't say anything, but the spouse may totally miss, because he or she has not received any clues from you. So the response may not be accommodating your needs, and you will have disappointment, right? So it is essential sometimes to express our thoughts, and otherwise people will misunderstand. Uninhibited display is aggressive communication, where you don't care about the others. So what is essential is tactful self-disclosure. Okay. So that is what I was saying. We don't have a fixed self-disclosure style. We adopt different styles depending on who we are communicating and based on the strengths and weaknesses in each relationship. Excuse me. I have a few comments in the chat box. Let me see through. While you go through this, see this slide. It is all what I said now. We discussed right now. Okay. Behavior does not affect others. It depends on situation. Yes, it depends on situation. Yes. Sometimes you are aggressive because you have suffered aggression somewhere else. That's true. That is why emotional intelligence is required. Okay. So tactful self-disclosure is built on one more message. Sujata, I didn't get you. You said it's always functional. What does that mean? Are you there? Being assertive makes us sound more confident. So it is built on self-confidence, authenticity, respect for the self, and respect for the others. You know, people who are passive, they don't have a very high self-image. They compare themselves with others, and they say that I lack, and they focus too much on the weaknesses. Like yesterday, even Dr. Jerish was saying, because society makes you focus on your weaknesses, right? So when you focus more on your weaknesses, your self-image, you have a very slow self-image. So that's why, you know, it gets expressed in that way. You become passive, and when you see people who are very, very talented and you are awed by them, you're dazzled by their success, and then you find that that reflects in the way you interact. So you decide how much of yourself, your ideas, feelings, and beliefs you should reveal, and in what fashion in a given context. That is about tactful self-disclosure. Okay. Situational, yes, it is all situational. So how do you, develop this tactful self-disclosure? You all feel free to interrupt me if there is something else that needs to be added, or you want some clarifications, or you want any comments to be made. Okay, feel free. Now, developing tactful self-disclosure, how do you do that? There is one beautiful book by Robert Bolton, and he has written quite a lot of articles also. So he says that, it should be a non-judgmental description of the behavior to be changed. So you use, for example, if your children, they leave the table a mess after eating snacks, right? So what do? Usually parents will shout, or they say, you're dirty, why do you behave like you're ill-mannered. You may shout at that, and you say that you are good for nothing, or you do always these things. So these kinds of things are the one generally parents may say. So instead of that, a description, like you say that after you have your snacks and you leave the table messy, a disclosure of the assertor's feeling. So if you say, I feel upset. Why do you feel upset? A clarification of the concrete and tangible effect of the other person's behavior on the assertor. Because I have more work to do. So when after having snacks, when you leave the table messy, okay, I feel upset because I have more work to do. I have more work on my hands, right? And so you explain it in that way, rather than blaming the other and blaming the children, shouting at them. So when you try these tactics, this can be used in organizations also. So we'll see some more techniques. So he explained it, and there are so many other tools available how you can go about not blaming another person. Instead of that, focusing on the situation and expressing what you want from that situation, or how that situation has to be handled. So now a few techniques we will discuss here. That is, when faced with aggression or criticism, what should you do? Or these are certain tools and techniques, but of course these all depend on the situation, as I told you. So this is not the solution that can be as it is taken and implemented, but think about it and think that in these situations, will this work or not? And you can apply, you can be aware of these tools and techniques so that whenever that such situations arises, you can try implementing them. Then you have the 4-step exercise I'll tell you, and the art of saying no also. So these are some of the techniques which I just compiled. So when you're faced with aggression or criticism, what can you do when somebody is aggressive, criticizing you, wrongly criticizing you? So there are sometimes when you have to say no. So these all work in different situations. Broken record is being persistent and keep saying what over and over what you want. Stick to your point. You are not wavering from your point. Like a broken record goes on and on saying. So see, again, I would like to say that it may not work in all situations. In certain situations, you stand to your point, you stick to your point, and you say that again and again. This is what I need. Okay, I want you to clean the room. So you keep saying the same thing, or right? Or then fogging. Fogging is another one in which an assertive coping skill is dealing with when somebody criticizes you. What you can do is you can agree with the truth. You can say that this criticism that is truthful, and I agree with the statement. Yes, maybe you are right. Not maybe you say that yes, you are right, that I did not see that point. You agree. Other thing is you can do is you agree with the odds. Odds is maybe you are right. Maybe I should have worked more on that particular paragraph. You can say that. Or agree in principle. In principle, yes, I understand everybody makes mistakes. Or that makes a logical, that makes sense. General truth, that makes sense. I agree everybody makes mistake. I agree. You agree in principle. So what happens is the person who's criticizing you, he or she will pause, and then their aggression will come down. And negative is like readily accepting before other person says, and that something is wrong. If you've really done something wrong, then before the person says, I understand that this was not the right way to do, or I understand I should have worked on that, I should have put that point forth, or I would have summarized it at the end. So you are proactively, before they say itself, you are accepting that this should your mistake, okay, the error that you have done. And negative inquiry is asking the person. Sometimes you can ask, if somebody is criticizing, what exactly went wrong, or if you were in my place, what would you do? So if you ask that, also the other person calms down a bit, and then you will get good feedback. You will get feedback which you can use for your improvement. Then self-disclosure is you can disclose information about yourself, how you think, feel, and react to other person's information. This gives the other person information about you. So again, sometimes, okay, you can tell why you took that decision. You explain about it, your feelings, your thought process, why did you do certain things. So when you give information to the other person, why I did not scold the child, or why I did not give punishment. So you express where you come from, what are your values, what you think, what is your approach to a particular thing. So when you do that, definitely the other person has more information, and he can put himself or herself in your shoes and see why you took that decision, or why you are saying what you're saying. So these are a few tactics. And then the other technique that you can do is you can always say, this is the one which Robert Bolton said, the same one. So same one, you can also express it in this way. A similar one, it is a similar one, where you can say that I feel, you feel upset, angry, what do you feel when something happens? Why? Because how it has impacted you, and what you want the other person to do. So you can say, express how you feel about the behavior. I feel upset or angry. Then what specifically bothers you? When you speak loudly on the phone, right? So I feel upset when you speak loudly on the phone because I cannot concentrate on my work. So I want you to keep your voice low or go outside the room while speaking on the phone. We face these situations. Similarly, different situations in the office also. We suffer sometimes because we don't know how the person will take it. The person will be angry. Will our relationship be strained? Will he or she becomes or stop being friends with me? Will I be left alone? So all these things stops us from expressing ourselves. But if you express in this way, I think people around will understand. Okay. So what are the rewards of being assertive? So if you are assertive, it improves your self-esteem and confidence. It provides you a sense of control. You are not taken for granted. Others are not exploiting you. So it gives you a sense of control. You are aware of what you are saying. You are aware of the information that you're disclosing. You're not disclosing also. And when you say no, sometimes you say yes, but when you want to say no, and then you suffer. Why did I say? You suffer for somebody else. So at the end of the day, as I told you, you don't feel happy. So when you say no, you feel good, and protects you from being taken advantage by others. And it demonstrates respect for the feeling of others also. And it provides respect for your ideas and opinions. So your ideas and opinions also matter. You express it. Sometimes when we express our ideas and opinions, people may not take it. It's not necessary that always you'll be successful and people will, understand what you're saying, and they will implement your ideas and they will praise your ideas. It doesn't happen. But at least you will have the satisfaction that I said. Some of us say that what's the use of saying, they may not take it. But that's okay. People may take, people may not take. You may not have the power to influence others' thoughts or others' decisions, or you may not have the power to make that decision, but you can always give suggestions. People take it or not take it is something that is different, that you need not think when you are expressing yourself. This is like in the school also, they use this model of saying no, which is in the NCRT book also. I took it because it was good. It is applicable for us. It is useful for even the students. So AEIOU model, it's easy to remember. So if suppose somebody asks you to do their assignment, so you ask question, you say that why do you want me to do, right? You can ask some other, why are you not doing? You can ask those questions. So engage by polite statements, and you can say, I would have done, I would like to do that, but you include a reason. I have some other work, or I have to attend a meeting, or I have these things coming up. These are urgent work. Include a reason, and offer some other option. So you can say, shall I send you some link, or can I give you some books or materials which will help you, or shall I talk with someone who will be doing it, do it for you, or shall I do it after 1 week or after so many days? Is it okay? So offer an option, and thank the other person for understanding. So this is also one way of saying no. So in different situations, try applying these. And these are some of the situations which also, a cousin requests you for a loan, but you have your expenses to manage. So now with assertive communication, what will you say? This you can give activities to the students also, if you are going to handle. Otherwise, we can also think about, which of the technique of assertive communication can be applied here. Any comments from your end? Yeah, Dr. Sanjay says, yes, it's saying no is an art. Right? So these are certain situations. What we do in the workshop is we give these situations and ask them to apply these techniques. Any of these techniques they can apply, they can show, and then we have a discussion. We can even have role play. In communication sessions, role play is an excellent way. You assign a role to a few people, and then they can come in front of the class and then discuss and engage the entire class in the activity. It is fun. They learn, and then we say that don't act, you just imagine, because nobody is judging. There is no right answer, this is the right answer, you get 5 marks. It's not like that. At that moment, you really imagine yourself, empathize, and then you come out. What will you do? So many a times, like, for me also, I have I still feel or think that I have a long way to go. It's very difficult for me to say no sometimes. So I have ended up in many situations. I am still learning. Even Stephen Covey in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he says that it is easier to say all these things, but practicing is extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. For example, my mother, she is a very, very naive, not naive, I will say she's very sweet person. I understand. But sometimes when, someone comes to visit and she's having her food, I've noticed this when I was a young child. What she'll do is somebody knocks the door and she keeps all the food inside the kitchen and she'll wash and then come and sit. She will never say to the guests that, let me finish my food. She thinks that, if she says, what will they think? And then she will put up with that and she will be there. And somebody asks her, can you come with me for some place, some of the neighbors? And she'll be okay, even if she has some work. That is a very, very passive way of, obliging to people, even if it is so difficult. So what happens is people take you for granted, even your relatives, be it in office. If you keep doing, work keeps piling. If you say yes to everything, and you will not be able to do, and in the end, what will happen is, when you're not able to keep up the commitment, your image only will be impacted. No, it is okay to be sweet and nice, but whatever is possible, we should take. So I'll show you one small video. Now I've been talking for a long time. Is it okay? So far, so good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
This is one example from. So this is a very interesting clip. I like this clip a lot. Just watch it.
I'm going to clear the courtroom.
I'm not sure we'd be able to, sir. It is a first hearing. It's supposed to be public, and he's a lawyer.
I don't know where they found the nerve for all this.
I'm sure I don't either, sir, but the troops won't be here till tomorrow.
How did the press get here before the military?
That English clergyman sent a number of telegrams yesterday afternoon. I understand one of them even went to the Viceroy.
You have been ordered out of the province on the grounds of disturbing the peace.
With respect, I refuse to go.
Do you want to go to jail?
As you wish.
All right. I will release you on bail of 100 rupees until I reach a sentence.
I refuse to pay 100 rupees.
Then I will grant release on bail without payment until I reach a decision.
This is from the movie Gandhi. You must see that movie. There are so many leadership lessons. Not judging whether the path, the values are right or wrong. That I'm not saying, but leadership lessons. So in this, so you see how politely Gandhiji says, with respect, I refuse to go. I refuse to pay 100 rupees. You saw that? So that is assertiveness.
Yes. Mahatma Gandhi.
Yes, yes.
Polite but firm.
Polite but firm, with due respect. In those days, you will not compromise on all those politeness and the procedures that is demanded. But very firmly. So they say, do you wish to go to jail? As you wish. Do you want to? So you will find that there are many leadership that he's very firm on that. Okay. It's an interesting clip. And delivering bad news and negative feedback sometimes, assertiveness. Many of us hesitate when we are in managerial position, when with students, sometimes we have to tell that negative, somebody is laid off, somebody has to be let go in the organization. When it comes to organizational situations, here when we are with colleagues also, we have to deliver a bad news. We are a team lead, or maybe to students. We hesitate because obviously when we give the bad news, we don't feel good because we are afraid of the response that the other person will give, an emotional outburst, which can be stressful for us. So we always try to avoid that situation, right? So how do you do that? Again, there are techniques available. Practicing is much more difficult, but being aware and continuous practicing and being aware and then again practicing, applying, improving can hopefully make you an expert. So feedback is again a process by which we communicate to people something about their behavior, their output, their work, their attitude, etc. Like the first example where two of them was talking, and then you wanted to tell them that you need to stop talking and focusing on work. So how do you tell? So helpful information or criticism that is received or given to an individual to say what can be done to improve performance. So nowadays you don't say negative feedback, you will say areas of improvement or discussion on the areas of improvement. That is how euphemistically or they put it. So giving feedback, again, giving feedback sometimes takes courage. We respect others' need for autonomy, intrinsic motivation, and self-direction. So you have to make a choice by respecting the other person and not being aggressive, but also telling. If you don't tell people where they need to improve, then they will not improve, and that will be detrimental to the organization, or that will be that will going to impact their performance, organization performance, achievement of the objective. Okay, so requires that we be observant also. So feedback is not very easy. It has to be, because you cannot give a general feedback. You have to be very, very specific. And when we give specific feedback, people will listen. If you give a very general thing, okay, you did well. What does doing well means? Good. What does good mean? So you have to be very, very specific, which areas was good, which areas need improvement. I like the way you started the presentation, that story was good, but in between I found that you were digressing. This is the part where you were digressing. So that specific feedback, no, people will sit up and listen to what you're saying, right? They will take it seriously. And there is another way when you are particularly giving certain bad news, right? Bad news, like somebody is losing the job, or some serious bad news when you have to give this. I'm just giving you an overview. If this PPT will be available, you can find out more about it. Very fascinating concept about equity, fairness, and justice. So distributive justice, procedural justice, and interactional justice. So you can use these in order to convince the other person. So distributive justice is something which is related to how, suppose you expect certain things to happen, and that happens, then you will consider it to be fair, right? Suppose the auto fare, minimum auto fare is 50 rupees, and you are going to travel, and the auto person charges you 50 rupees. You are okay, because that you have expected 50 and it is 50, and it is in the night and it's raining. Then the taxi person, though the fare is 60 rupees or 50 rupees, he charges you 150 or 100. Then also you're okay, because you have expected the outcome that, okay, it is night, 10 o'clock, it's raining heavily, the taxi person maybe will charge more. But if he charges extremely high, some 500 or 600, which is not according to expectation, then you will not consider it as fair. Okay, so when people know their mistakes, and they know that they will not be getting an increment or a promotion, then it is very easy to give that feedback, right? So when the expectations, beliefs and expectations about outcomes, whatever you're going to say, it is according to that, then people will consider it fair, and then they accept it. The other way to go about when you're communicating is procedural justice. And when you say that we have certain procedure, this is the procedure that we followed, and then this is the outcome. So you mention the procedure, and then you say, for example, you're standing in a line, right? So you're standing in a line for some service, for billing, maybe in a supermarket. So you are standing in a line, and everybody, according to the turn the person is giving, then that is fair. You consider that fair. But somebody jumps into the queue and then does it, you will consider it not fair. Similarly, arriving at a conclusion also. So when, suppose, appraisal is happening, and then the way your scores has been given, you don't consider that as fair. The way you feel that subjectivity is more, then it is very difficult. Then you will have confrontation. But if you explain, if you're able to be very transparent and show that all the procedures and processes have been followed, I have followed the procedure, then people will consider that fair, and they will accept what you are saying. then sometimes what happens is when procedures are good, even if it is not according to the expectations of the people, people will accept it. So any kind of any kind of lacking in distributive justice can be made up with procedural justice. Similarly, interactional justice is warm interpersonal behavior, right? Suppose you are standing at the back of the queue and then you request the person who's at the front, say that, I have to go for a meeting. Can you please send, or you have a small baby, I have to, take care of the baby, I have to take the baby for a doctor. And then you request the person in front and that person says, okay. So with your interpersonal skills, if you're able to, with your charm or, your interpersonal skill, your persuasive skills, you're able to go in front of the line, the other person will not mind. So whatever the shortcomings there is in distributive justice and procedural justice, interactional justice can be used to make it up. So all these things are important when you convey some values, right? So if it's suppose the person does not expect, but you explain through the procedural justice system, person may expect. Along with it, you have it with your concern for the person, the way you present it, the way you talk to the person, make the person you empathize with the person, then the person may take it in a better way, will accept it. Okay. Any questions? Any questions or any clarifications? There are a few chats. Let me check. Okay. Okay, Dr. Manita, I get it. Yes. Any questions or clarification?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So under feedback rules, again, it has to be descriptive. Like we said, you describe the situation, rather than saying, I think you're selfish, not labeling people, but, describe the situation. I noticed that you don't look at people when they are talking to you. You are describing the situation, the event. You said you couldn't understand why people don't listen to you. Do you think this might have something to do with it? That means you're describing that situation rather than saying you're selfish, you're lazy. So these kinds of labels make people irritated. And it should be directed towards the behavior that can be changed. So this is a very harsh example, but of course, I don't really like your face or instead of saying that, it's a harsh example, I understand. But instead of that, you can say it would help me if you smiled more or looked at me when you speak. So, what behavior you want the other person to be changed, you can ask that person to change. So somebody is giving a presentation. So you may say that, don't, you look as though you're going to beat us. Instead of saying that, you can say it will be better if you smile at us when you are presenting. I understand that example was too harsh. Okay, specific or focused. It should be very, very specific and focused. So you always look like you have just got out of bed, but your work is good on the whole. So this also, it's irritating. Instead of that, you can say, I would like you to take more care of your appearance in order to make a better impression on clients. So, you can be very specific about what you want to do, rather than saying you look like as it doesn't mean anything, rather than hurting the other person. So some of you are not achieving your performance goals, you have to improve. Instead of that, you be specific. Hari, you have not achieved your performance goals this week. Can we talk about it and work out some plans to improve it? So you are very, very specific to the person, not everyone, because maybe everyone else is doing, and it has to be targeted. So these are some, and it has to be timely. So feedback, timely. So your students do something, immediately give feedback, not after 1 week or after 1 month. Then people forget. Again, feedback, there is a 4-step model, which is behavior. This is again similar to assertive communication. You describe the behavior, feeling, how it feels, the impact it has on you, and then you request. Okay. For example, this is a situation. Let us say that you belong to a team of 5 persons, and one of you is being sent abroad by your company. Each member of the team is hoping to be that person. Your boss quietly lets you know that you will go abroad and tells you to keep it confidential till it is announced. Another friend of yours, Ashok, who is also close to the boss, comes to know this. He rushes to your cubicle to congratulate you. He stands at the cubicle door and says loudly, "Congrats. I heard that you are going abroad." You silently motion him to keep quiet. and take him out of the office to the coffee machine and then give him feedback in 4-step model. Okay, how will you give that in 4-step model? I hope you were able to read. Okay. For want of time, I think I'll go. Usually I'll ask the participants to write and then say. So behavior. So you can say, Ashok, when you said congrats loudly in the office. I hope you understood the situation, right? Or do you want me to display the situation once again?
No, ma'am, we understand.
You understood. Okay. So you describe the behavior that Ashok, when you said congrats loudly in the office, what happened? Feelings. I really felt embarrassed as my friends don't know about it yet. So impact, my friend will think I'm cheating on them in some manner. So request, could you please keep the matter a secret until it's announced by the boss? So you can give this 4, and different situations to the participants and ask them to write it and then discuss it. Very interesting when you do it, in person. Okay. So this is one way. Then again, there's another way in which you tell the expectations. Depends on different situations, desired behaviors. What is the expectations from the person, and what did you observe, and then what is the assessment that you make from that, and the consequences. We'll see through an example. When I say this, you may not be able to see. Expectation. So the expectation is, Rajiv, you are expected to make a 15-minute presentation to students every month about the services our office provides. Then what is the observation? I have noticed that you are always well prepared and consistently arrive several minutes early to greet students and make them feel welcome. Assessment. This is excellent and demonstrates a commitment to your job, representing our office positively and serving our customers. And consequence. I'd like you to use this as a model for how we conduct all our presentations. So this is something of a positive feedback. Similarly, if there is a feedback for improvement, you can say the expectation is, as a member of the project team, one of the expectations from you is your active participation in team meetings. Observation, during the last half dozen meetings, you barely said anything, although you're clearly listening and taking notes during the discussions. So what is the assessment of this? This doesn't meet the expectations for your role. You should be contributing your thoughts and providing insights into how our recommendations will affect our department. Okay, the consequence will be, it is important that you be more participative. If it doesn't improve fairly quickly, we will have to reconsider your role on the project team. So this is the consequence. So this model can also be used for giving positive feedback and also for giving feedback for improvement. And last session also I said feedback is a very important thing. Again, this I will skip the situation discussion anyhow, because that is done in person. So receiving feedback again, receiving feedback, I told you on Kabir ke dohe, I don't know whether you remember. Does anybody remember that doha? It's very important that you encourage you are very receptive and open-minded to feedback, provided you know who is giving the feedback. Okay, so attitudes. Does anybody remember that Kabir ke dohe? I'm not going to say once again. Okay, so attitude matters. Feedback can be a gift, so regardless of the source, because if you get feedback, then only you improve. Otherwise, how do you know where you need to improve? You may be thinking that you are doing the right thing, right? So very important. So what we do is, like someone said in the morning also, one of you was saying that I get defensive. The moment somebody says something, you become defensive. So no, it's not like that. I did. Listen to why somebody's saying. If that person's intentions are not bad, if the person doesn't have any hidden agenda, if the person is genuinely concerned about your well-being, somebody says something, there will be something, right? So you need to listen to it, analyze it, and see what can be done to improve. And if you think that doesn't need any improvement, or the person has misunderstood, then it's okay, leave it. But listen, whenever somebody says something, gives you a feedback, be receptive. And I think most honest feedbacks are given by your mentors and as well as your um, your friends. In IIM, I know that when a new faculty joins, the senior faculty sit in the class and then give them the feedback as on the conduct of the class. It helps them tremendously in improving the delivery of the session. So having a right attitude towards feedback is very, very important. So ask for feedback on an ongoing basis. Do not reject feedback. Listen for understanding, respond to feedback, thank the person for giving feedback, show appreciation. And make that a habit also. You can ask, your colleagues or someone, ask feedback. It's okay. They tell, one of my superiors, he's quite a senior person. Maybe he's double my age right now. But earlier, when we used to travel for some client visit, or when we used to go, when we used to be there, when we used to interact, he used to sometimes ask. And when he has delivered a session or he has made a talk with senior industry people, and because we are also into training of working professionals, when he used to do that, and then he used to ask, Vandana, what is your feedback? Do you think anything I could have said? See, such a senior person, he's my superior. He need not ask, but he will ask my and then say, do you think, what is your feedback? For a subordinate. And in our system, we don't have that system of 360-degree appraisal and all those things. But he goes out of his way to ask feedback, not only on how he has presented anything to the clients, but otherwise also relating to his management. So that shows, that at that age also they are so willing to improve and listen. So whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced. These are some thoughts that I will give you. You can go through. This is, I think, this is the end. Any questions? I don't know whether I was a little fast, but we have 10 minutes. Any questions, clarifications, comments, suggestions are welcome. Your feedback is welcome. Let me.
And the session was good. Quite a lot of concepts actually reiterated, which we've been trained many times, but it's in a great revision. Brings back the importance that right now, at least in current times, being assertive is the most important way to communicate effectively. So I think that's the biggest learning for me personally.
Thank you. And there is a very thin line between being assertive and being arrogant or aggressive. You have to be very, very careful. It is a total clues that you give. Also, your non-verbals. So non-verbals also we did that last session. Your non-verbals also convey whether you are a passive person. So always do a audit of your body, whether you are the way you're sitting, your posture, does it convey, are you slouching, does it convey a person who's weak, or does it convey confidence, gestures? You need to be very, very careful when you are in public view. So, and then make that a habit. Once you make that a habit, you don't have to take extra efforts to do that. It will come automatically, spontaneously. You will be like that. Yeah. Any questions or any comments? Thank you for that comment, Mr. Shatrunjay. Okay. You can use these, the tools and all to do sessions for your students where you make them do role play and as a workshop and have active discussions. It will be very lively.
I totally agree. Actually, now that the college is getting into offline mode and students are here, this would really make a lot of impact, because let's be honest, for you to catch our attention who are genuinely interested to do this FDP is a little different game altogether compared to students who would be more engaged in an offline session than an online session. So it's a great opportunity now that they're here.
Thank you. It's yeah, 11 o'clock. There are a couple of videos also, right? There are many other videos also, which again, we can you can also show to the students. Any other feedback from your end that if you don't have any questions, any feedback, you can unmute and speak. Yeah, Dr. Kavita,
Yeah,
are you
Vandana.
there?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
I'm there.
participants, there is silence at the other end. I don't know how many of them are there.
But
Okay,
it's okay. It was very interesting. Even I was listening to you only. And
thank you.
that one thing, always used to say, we have to say no wherever it is required, right? That is what most of the time we'll be missing out. Whatever our boss or superior says, we'll keep on accepting it without knowing whether we can do it, we can execute it, all those things. But that was really a great learning. We should learn how to say
Learn to-
no, right? Good. It was a wonderful session.
Though the concepts are simple, try applying it. When you apply it in different with different situations.
A very good session, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
And send the feedback form also. Thank you.
Okay. You can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
It was a good session, ma'am.
Thank you. The next session is at 11:30.
Thank you, ma'am. It was very good session from your side.
Thank you.
So
Good morning, madam.
can
How
be
to
in the
make a
same
students
link?
to understand the difference between passive communication and being passive, and how to make them to convert to be assertive. We being as a teachers, we understand the difference between passive and assertive communication. But as you said, when it comes to the practicality, pragmatics, how do
Yes.
we be able to manage these things? Please focus
There are three ways. One is how we demonstrate. When a student is assertive, do we feel offended or do we encourage? Because sometimes when students ask us certain questions, why ma'am this fees is like that, they are just asking politely. At that time, how are we answering them? Sometimes that through the way are we encouraging them to be assertive or are we encouraging them to be passive? That is first. Okay. The second thing is when we take a session, right? If you have a communication workshop, what you can do is all those situations which I was mentioning, that ask them to do role play. And those tools, ask them to think of situations, use those tools, and then come out with it. So they will work on those tools, and then different situations you can give or ask them to come out with situation. Put them in group and they can role play that situation. So that they will internalize. And other thing is telling them stories. Storytelling is an excellent way. I told you one story about, so this students will be able to relate. A little bit of inconvenience, that in the long run, how it results in tragedy or a bigger catastrophe for the entire family. So to avoid those, little inconvenience now is okay. So that you need to tell them. So, and whatever your feelings and thoughts you say without hurting somebody else's. I hope I answered Mr. Ravinder.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So I think now we can take a break and join at 11:30. Dr. Parmanandam will be handling the session on team dynamics. And in the afternoon, the final session of today of this 5-day FDP will be handled by me, followed by an assessment.
We also request the participants to be ready for a photo session in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have a group photo session. So be ready to switch on your camera and with all your grooming and all. Okay.
Yes, it's an off day for you, but for the photo session, we can come prepared. Thank you, Kavita, for reminding. Okay. So I think most of you would have filled the feedback form. the link?
I am in need of the attendance link, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
No, we don't have a separate attendance link. We have a feedback form, a link for that, and then you can.
Actually, here's an connectivity issue of internet in Uttarakhand. थोड़ा सा adverse environment है, तो मैं अभी था नहीं, जब आपने भेजा एक बार आप link भेज
I've
देंगे.
shared it, sir.
I've
Check it out.
Kavita shared it. You can copy that and.
Yeah, I receive it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, participants. Meet you at 11:30.